Welcome to the Captain Max Steel Show. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Well, thank you for that applause out there. Anyway, I got back Joe Exposito coming back for the second segment of the show. And I'm going to ask him a few questions because 4 years ago, I've known about smart meter for a while. I did hire somebody from Roanoke, Virginia to come out my house and run the machine to read the readings that it was producing. So we did several experiments, and what I did is I put aluminum paper over the whole meter, and sure enough, it lowered it really quite low. I can't remember how much, and then I put one on the inside of the wall where the smart meter was at, put one there behind there. I put an aluminum screen, and then in the electrical panel where you turn on the switch, it's on and off, I put one there also. And believe it or not, I felt a lot better and I was able to sleep better.
Yeah.
My question to you, Joe, is that the smart meter sends the signal. The whole house is an antenna for the smart meter. So it's sending those signals through every part of your house. Is that correct or not?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I have a friend of mine that built a Faraday cage on a whole house. And they didn't have back in those days the screen made out of copper. You had to wave it yourself. So a friend of mine took about 3 or 4 months to wave a whole $6,000, $7,000. I mean, six or 700. Wait a minute, I got it wrong. 7,000 square feet home, and he did the copper waving all over the whole walls, the ceilings, and the floor.
Correct.
And then he had to connect it to a copper piping. And he told me that the only way it works, it really works really good. If you, the very end of the wire where it's all weaved into one place and you're finished weaving the whole house, that you're going to need to put a copper wire thick enough to go through the floor. And if it's got crawl space underneath the house, you will have to have a copper tubing and connect that wire, the last wire from the copper from the inside of the house, to put it on that copper post and slam it into the ground and ground the whole thing. He said that once he did that, he had to he had to check the whole house to see if it had 12 volts of electricity. And when he did, it did do that. So if it does have a 12 volt of electricity, of going through the wires, that means it's working. If not, if you did all that and then come on something you did wrong. But that's what he said, that the way he did. Go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right in what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, if you have a concrete floor building and you put metal sheeting like they build these metal buildings with,
yeah,
and you're not near a source of radiation, it'll protect you. We're just living in a day, I believe, that everybody should be sleeping in a Faraday cage. You can buy these mesh fabrics that hang from the ceiling. They're canopies. They hang around your bed.
Like a mosquito net.
Like a mosquito net, correct.
Yes.
Because, see, at my house, when you see my videos, you'll see I nailed aluminum screen wire on the whole south side of my home, and I even put it on the roof, right? Because the majority of radiation is coming at me from the south of my house. But I can only get it down back then to 10 microwatts. I wanted it down all the way. So then we paid $1,000 for a canopy in our bedroom and my daughter's bedroom. And we hung it from the ceiling, and we went in there with the meter, and it was 0.1. See? Now, there's two problems with smart meters. It's not just the microwave radiation. It's the dirty electricity being caused by the switching mode power supply in the smart meter, because it's direct current operated, DC, picking off an AC alternating current line coming into your house. So now that's making dirty electricity go through all your wiring, and it comes out into the room several feet from away from your walls. So dirty electricity is just about, some people think, as damaging or more damaging than the wireless. So there's two major problems with smart meters. It's the microwave radiation and the dirty electricity. And that's why, to try to help slow and stop some of what's happening, if you would sleep in a Faraday cage and you have a meter that would read and say you're safe. The other thing is, what we did or do is we go and turn the breakers off at night. Like in the summertime, you might want to leave the air conditioner on, or you might want to leave your refrigerator on, or in the wintertime, you may have to run your furnace, but we turn everything else off. There's nothing else on in the house. And that'll help take that level down. We could read, we have instruments that can read body voltage, okay? So my wife was laying in our bedroom in bed, and my daughter hooked her all up, and she was like, I think the safe level was like 10 or something. And she was like 12, 15, 2000 level. So the first thing we did is I walked over to the breaker box, which is in our closet, and I flipped off the circuit breakers to the room. And she dropped immediately. Just boom, it dropped. But it wasn't enough. So then I turned off the lights, breakers, and boom, she dropped again. But it wasn't enough. Now, then I turned off the main breaker to the whole house, and boom, she dropped again. But it wasn't enough. So during my escapades with the utility company, I got, well, let me just back up and tell you. I got permission to change from the city of Tulsa my smart meter for an analog meter, and my electrician did it. The inspector came out and said everything was fine. PSO came out to put their little security lock on it, went crazy. I got a letter overnight from the lawyer. They said, if you don't put that back, we're going to turn your power off. And they did. Three or 4 days later, they turned our power off for 66 days until we went to court. The judge said, now we got permission to do this from the city of Tulsa, right? I have a little permit still out there today on the box, green. And so they made us pay $1,100 to take the smart meter 92 feet off my property. And we aimed it the other direction. They're like guns. So we aimed the front of it away from us. Okay, so they have to put a breaker out there, because when the firemen come, they have to turn the power off so they don't get electrocuted. So they have to turn the power off. So what I do when the weather's just right, I go out to the main breaker and I throw the breaker out 92 feet from the house. Now, when I throw that breaker, my wife goes normal with body voltage. So so I mean, this the dirty electricity is affecting us because it affected her. You could actually read it and see it with the readings from the meters, and that's why you want to try to get the dirty electricity off of you and get as many breakers off as you can. You don't want to put your head by an outlet. If anything, you want to put your head out in the middle of the room. That's the safest place for your head because it's the furthest away from all the walls. And so, I mean, there's several things to think about here when you do all this. So you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do understand what you're saying.
Okay.
So what you're saying is, uh, if I have the electrical company, it's called here Blue Ridge Electric, where I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains. If I tell them to remove my smart meter from the back of my house and hook it up on the telephone pole, because that's where it's connected, where it goes underground to my house. If they can put it on my pole, what what kind of reading? Yeah,
How far away is the smart meter if it goes on the pole?
let me see. Probably over 100 feet.
That'd be great. See, that would help because distance is your friend, and you aim it the other direction. Listen, I've got people paying $3,000 to $10,000 to get the meter off their house and get it away from their house. They call me, they hire me to come out and help them with that because this stuff is so damaging. It's coming right through our homes. I mean, your neighbors, I've got the videos up. Your neighbor's meter, if it's aimed at you, they could be 30 feet away. It's coming through your house. That's what I'm saying. Cookie cutter houses, everybody's radiating everybody else.
Yeah, the house next door to me is approximately over 100 feet away where their meters is.
Is it on your side facing you?
No, it's facing back to the back of their house.
Well, that's good, see?
Yeah.
But if you can get it off your house and get it away from your house, as far as the microwave part, that's wonderful because that makes a big difference.
Well, how about the the cell phone? Because we got cell phone towers. We don't have that many up here, but we do have some. There is one about 1.5 miles from my house.
Can you see it?
No.
Okay, well, let me tell you, vegetation, trees are your friend. But now, see, we're going into winter. Well, all the leaves are coming off the trees.
Yes.
So this is the worst time of year to get radiated.
Well, the only thing about it is we got pine trees everywhere.
Okay, that's good.
The pine, it's not going to go to the pine trees.
No, you're correct. That will protect you. You're correct.
I have on the side of my house and on the back side, and on the left side, I have pine trees all around me.
Good. That's what you want.
What the other thing that I wanted to ask you is that we know all this is happening, and once you let's say I'm able to get them to move that back there and then have it pointed toward the street.
Right.
And let me just tell you one thing before I forget. 4 years ago, I had that person come out here. I put about 5 pieces of aluminum together, and I put it all around the meter. And they showed up at my front gate. I had it closed. Good thing I did that. And they asked me if they can jump the fences. No, I'll go out there and open it for you. So I went up the back and removed everything all that aluminum that I had on there. So I went to the front gate and let them in. They said, "What's going on?" Something is blocking the signal from your meter to our station. I said, "Really?" And believe it or not, when I put it on my meter, and I also put it on my breaker switch. I put it all around there. You know what? After I did that, I was sleeping a lot better.
That's right. Exactly. You got it. That's what you're after.
Now,
be able to dream at night.
I've been dreaming all my life. I can't stop that. It doesn't bother me. I'm very different than a lot of you, believe me. The other thing is that since I took it off, the signal goes from one house to another house. The meter comes every 15 seconds. It goes from one meter to another one, and it goes all the way till it goes, because the electricity in the home has a broadband electricity, internet going through those electrical lines. Am I right or am I wrong?
That could be. It depends. I don't know on every one of them.
Well, I finally asked that question.
Right.
And the guy, I know some people in the Blue Ridge Electric, they're friends of mine. They talk to me. They don't want to talk sometimes when I'm very near their company. We talk out anywhere. And I said to him, is the smart meter doing harm to us? And he says, we don't know that. we don't know that. We don't even know that. And then come on, his name is Frank. Frank, stop being stupid. Okay, I know you know. He didn't know. So I went to the supervisor at Blue Ridge Electric, and I went in there. Well, the person that used to be there was Beverly, and she's retired now. And I went. I couldn't see her, so I went to talk to somebody else, a man. And I asked him, "What about the meters? Smart meters doing harm to people?" Oh no, they don't do any harm. He said, "Are you sure about that?" He said, "Yeah, I know that." He said, "I don't think you guys know what's going on." Now let me ask you this, Joe: can I take those documents and show it in their faces?
Well, you can shove it a few places beside their face.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make it me a couple. I'm gonna show it to them. That what?
Okay, but in the third document, we didn't get through all four of them, but the third document is probably the most important document. And what that is there was a documentary by Sabine El Jamal. It took 4.5 years to make. It's called Generation Zap. You can look on the internet. All right?
Yeah.
There's a guy named George Carlo that she interviews in her 74-minute documentary. George Carlo is an epidemiologist. He's a lawyer. He's the former chairman of the Wireless Technology Research in 1996 when they were passing the new Telecom Act. And he has maybe about 20 different statements. And so I called her and I said, "Can I get a transcript of your documentary?" She said, "Well, I don't have one made." I said, "If I pay for it, will you send it to me and I'll make it and then I'll send it to you?" She said, "Okay." So I got a professionally done, time-stamped transcript of George Carlo. He was the guy that was in charge of all the wireless in the United States in '96 when all this stuff started happening. Okay. And so, like here at 2 minutes, he says, prior to 1984, wireless technology was only used in the military. And in 1984 was the first move to take wireless technology into the consumer environment. Cell phones at the time were excluded from any pre-market testing, so they came onto the market without any safety testing at all. Did you understand that? There was no safety testing of cell phones. They just let them come in. And then his next comment was at 10 minutes and 23 seconds. He says, so back in 1984, the two key agencies were the FDA for the devices and the EPA for the infrastructure. Okay, then he goes to, at 11 minutes, it says, both of these agencies preempted either pre-market testing or post-market surveillance because at the time, now listen to this, it was felt, they felt that the power was so low for cell phone transmissions that they could not be heating. And without heating, there could be no health effects. There was no science studies to this day, Max, to this day. There's never been any science behind what they did. Okay, so you go on in the transcript, and he's saying on the third page at 27 minutes, he goes, In 1995 and 96, we began the process of a new Telecommunications Act. And I've got that act. There's a 1934 and there's a 1996. It has nothing to do with safety anywhere in the act. I read it. I mean, I've got it. Okay, so I'm going to go back. In 1995-96, we began the process of a new Telecommunications Act. The Telecommunications Act now was for the first time written to put the FCC in the role of a policing agency. But the FCC's job as a commission was fair and equitable use of spectrum. The FCC was not a policing agency, had nothing to do with safety, had nothing to do with monitoring. All right?
Yeah.
So he goes on at 28 minutes, and there's some I'm skipping. The project was called the WTR. That's the Wireless Technology Research. And that's the program I ran looking into the health effects of wireless technology. Okay, so at 28 minutes and 30 seconds, he says, there was an argument going on between the EPA and the FDA, and the FCC was in the middle of it about the safety standards that should be put in place for analog phones. So what they did, because the EPA was causing trouble, when they passed the Telecommunications Act, they defunded the arm of the EPA. See? And then he went on to say, at 59 minutes, he said, so many people involved in science around this are out there arguing for massive, let me back up. Let me back up just a minute. I'm having trouble because I have to hold the phone with one hand and turn pages with the other hand, and so it takes me just a minute. Okay.
Well, there's a few questions here.
We have. Let me just read this one more thing.
Okay.
He said, we do have findings in experiments that indicate the potential for genetic damage coming from radio frequency radiation, such as that comes for cell phones. We also have an epidemiological finding of an increased risk of very rare type of brain tumors among reports of cell phone users. And so here at 31 minutes, he says, we were sort of caught in a difficult place because some of the claims were being made about health effects were so severe that had there been pre-market testing, cell phones never would have made it into the marketplace. See, they knew what was happening. They just didn't do their homework. They should have never even come into the marketplace. They were so dangerous.
Yeah. Well, let me add, there's a few questions here.
Okay.
Have you heard about a plug called the Lemurian plug?
No.
No. Okay. What that does is you plug it into the electricity outlet, and it neutralizes all that Wi-Fi stuff, and it just kills the radiation in the electricity.
Okay.
Okay. It's called the Lemurian plug.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends that bought a lot of them. I had a show with the people that were involved in it. Now, the other question is, it says here, I have it's from Matt 2427, and the one I just read just a few minutes ago is from Rhodes Pilot. Now, Matt 2427, I have some Netgear Powerline 500 Wi-Fi access point device that plug into the electrical outlet to distribute the Wi-Fi through the house, because the modem and router are in the center of the house, and I want great Wi-Fi in each wing of the house. So they work awesome, but Are you aware of this device is dangerous?
To be honest with you, no. I've never tested anything like that to be able to tell you that.
Okay. Also, I have a computer here, 27-inch HP. It's an LED screen, and I don't have a machine like the one you paid $1,000 for. I have one similar to that, and when I put on in front of my screen, within 3 to 4 inches or 5 inches, it's showing a high concentration of radiation. So when I put it at 3 feet away from me, because that's where I have it now, I did a reading at 3 feet away, and now it's not projecting that radiation in my face anymore because I have it away from me.
Correct.
And the correct distance is 3 feet. That's where I have it now. So I feel pretty good now. Ever since I removed that aluminum paper from the smart meter over 4 years ago, I was just testing it to see how it worked, but it did work.
Correct.
I've been getting up every morning really tired, can't function. I mean, I have to drag myself out of bed.
Max, you ever watch cows and birds in the morning, what they do?
I do watch them. They start eating.
No. When I raised 3 steers for a year, okay? The first thing when they get up, they stretch. And you watch a bird, they'll do the same thing. They'll stretch. They stretch their wings and everything. When you sleep in a Faraday cage, the first thing you'll do when you get up is stretch.
I don't stretch.
I know. I promise you that'll happen. Because that's what I do. Isn't that amazing?
So you stretch out and you don't feel tired anymore.
No. And you're ready to go.
I'll start stretching in the morning.
Well, but you need to be in a Faraday cage. That's the point.
All right, I can figure that out. I can just get me some 1x2s and put a square up on top and make a mosquito out of aluminum.
Exactly. That's all it is. But it has to overlap, and it'd be a good idea to ground it to earth ground, not to the electric plug ground.
I have invented a machine that it does all types of restoration and healing. Okay.
Right. Now
the whole box, I can't tell you what's inside because it's my own secret.
Right.
But it's got copper all the way inside, everywhere. And I know for a fact that I'm going to be testing it tomorrow for a different reason. I am going to test it tomorrow. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to talk to it because you can talk to it.
Okay.
And it gives you red light from red to right, and it gives you a green light in the center. Okay. Now, when you start talking for healing, and then the green light comes on, that means it activates an energy around your body, and it connects with you. I'm going to try that machine tomorrow. Okay, and I'm going to turn it on. Okay, and then I'm going to first do a reading with my meter that will tell you how much radiation is in the house. I would do that, and then as soon as I finish doing that, I'm going to turn on my box that I invented.
Okay.
Well, I had some help from way above, but I'm going to turn it on and see what kind of reading it does. Okay, because I know it does 9 different things. And I can't keep those 9 different things out there. I may have said a few already on Facebook. But I'm going to try this to see if it works. Because if I can turn that machine on and knocks out the all over the house, the the radiation that's going through the whole system. And this my box works. Hell, I ain't gonna spend no money no more on anything. And it'll make your house an instant Faraday cage. I know you haven't heard about that machine.
No.
Yeah, I do have it out there. It's
going to be interesting to see how it works then.
Yeah, I'll contact you tomorrow. I'll contact you tomorrow after I do it, and then go check it out. If it does work like I said it would, well, let's just see if it does.
Right.
And it's got incredible the technology inside. It's not from Earth. It's not third dimension. It's way up high. It's got technology from the 9th and 11th and 12th dimension. It's in that box because I program it that way. So I know you're probably not understanding what I'm saying, but you're one of the persons that is taking care of humanity by giving us the information that we need to protect ourselves. And I really, truly appreciate that from my whole heart to yours.
I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, go on with your experience.
Actually, I'm going to pop in here for a second. We have a comment, question in the chat that ties into something that Wsol wanted to talk about. DCG 1860 says, has anyone ever tried shungite on the electric and Wi-Fi in your house? And I know, John, you wanted to ask about that, and also Oregon. So if you want to go ahead and unmute.
Okay. One second. Let me say something really quickly before John comes in. The Chohim box has shungite on the inside and copper. That's all I can say. Go ahead.
No, isn't shungite like a rock from Russia?
It is.
Yeah. When my wife was sick, we got some of that. And we were putting it in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it worked or not. So I don't know. I've not ever worked with it. I've not experimented with it. I just know that from the things I've worked with, and I just know we're in big trouble. And there's so much of it today. I wear, when I first started all this, I was getting so sick. Like I said, when I got in that Faraday cage, I was perfectly fine. But when I come out, I'm being affected from all the radiation. So there's a company called Unitech, and I think it's South Carolina, that sells cell tower climbing suits. And when I first saw that, I said, okay, I'm going to get one of those. And so I did, but it wasn't very good protection, and the thing wouldn't fit me. I got big shoulders, so I couldn't even get my arm in it. So there was a suit made for me, a prototype. It's a $1,700 suit that I wear now. You'll see it in my YouTubes, but that's a 50 dBd protection. But it's gotten so bad now, the radiation, where I'm going around doing things, that I had to buy another fabric, this 50 dBd protection. And we went to a seamstress, and she, you know, waders, the fishermen, they'd go out in the water and they had waders. Did you ever see that? It goes from their feet up to under their armpits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I made a pair of waders. So, and my wife, I wear overalls, and so she sewed the straps on the top, so it holds it up, and then I have a drawstring around it, and I put that on under my big suit, my whole coveralls. It covers my whole body. So now I have 100 dBd protection. No, but you know, people need to start protecting themselves, and especially their head, because the radiation is causing cell damage in your brain. It's important to protect your head from all this. So you need to be wearing a hat for protection or something. But you know, I think I'm to the point now, because we're getting radiated not only from the cell towers and everything in your neighbors, but from space, from the satellites. And so it's just to the point, I believe, that if you can buy those canopies, I mean, not many people have $1,000 to hang over your bed at night. I would do it. And if you can't afford that, it's just, I've gone into people's homes and taken 1x4s, right? It's 3/4 inch by 3.5 inches boards, and build a frame around and over the bed. And we have slab homes here. Most of the homes are slab concrete. And I just take a staple gun and the wire, and then shoot the wire to the wood and make sure it laps an inch, and then you can put a door on it if you want. But I really believe that people need to start sleeping in Faraday cages. If you want to survive this, it's to that point. I mean, it's just, unless you have a meter like I have to read what's happening to us, you won't understand what I'm saying to you.
I'm looking at online. Oh, this is Wsol, by the way. This HF-B3G triple axis high frequency or radio frequency power meter analyzer detector, EM radiation for cell phones, smart meters, cell towers, Wi-Fi, microwave, Bluetooth. It's only $149.
How much?
$149.
Well, Max, you know, I've seen.
No, that was Wsol. He's my co-host.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Could you put that in our chat room here? What you just said, John?
Oh yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna
go ahead. Go ahead and go ahead. Who was talking just now?
That was John, me, and the guest.
Go ahead and continue talking. I'm going to mute myself.
Oh, yeah. I was just asking. I'm going to try maybe get one of those and test it out with this shungite, and test it out with orgone, and test it out with these, window screen Faraday cages, and see what kind of difference it shows.
That's what needs to be done. We need people like you that's starting to do this kind of thing, so we can find out more ways to help ourselves. But I'm telling you, this is very serious, and we need to be protecting ourselves because nobody else is doing it. You're going to have to start protecting yourself and your family.
Got it.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah. Nicole, are there any other questions?
No, just some people are making some comments how the shungite has helped them. And Ms. says they've used shungite for about 18 months. Smart meter and computer to reduce the electric cost and somehow stabilizes their computer all crash as much as it used. Also, someone else said felt Wi-Fi fatigue and having a doctor for anything. Also, Rose Violet's her experience with the bug is good for neutralizing the negative effects of your phone. There are some options. Definitely the Faraday. So, Rose Violet is asking, is copper mesh, will copper mesh work?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's probably better than aluminum screen wire.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that aluminum screen wire would oxidize and it would just all fall apart. I've been sleeping in the same cage for 6 years. It hadn't fallen apart.
Nice.
Yeah, if you're inside, that they won't deteriorate at all. I build antennas, work with aluminum all the time. It's the outside elements that really tear them up.
Right. But I just can't explain how sick I was until I built that Faraday cage. It was the most amazing experience. And so there's just so, if you understand how much radiation there is out there right now, especially, I mean, we're getting ready to go to 5G. Now, I've not tested Faraday cages with 5G. I don't know. I'll have to see. I hope I never have to see. You know, but the way things are right now, as much as I test, and you can see that on the YouTube I put up, it's a serious problem here. We have serious. This is genocide that's happening to us. It's involuntary human experimentation. It's criminal assault on us. See, when I took on the utility, I was the first. I was only one person. So they tried to crush me. But I'm telling you, if a whole neighborhood or 100 people would come against them, they couldn't handle it. And so somehow, I mean, if you have listeners out there that could organize more people and, you know, come against what's happening and start turning off their meters or their, you know, come against the utility and, you know, want to stop what's happening here. If there's a group of people, it's harder to deal with than just one person like me. But usually there's not enough people that are educated enough to be able to stand against them.
It's part of the dumbing down plan. This Agenda 21 thing, I understand they want everybody concentrated into the cities so that you can be within, you know, 300 to 500 feet of an antenna. Because out in the country, they can't do that to you.
Correct. But this is all Agenda 21. It's depopulation. Now, I haven't personally seen that. I was told that by a good friend that works with Agenda 21 and been on their website. I guess I need to get documentation on that. I'll try to work on getting that. But I mean, this is serious times, and it's really damaging a lot of these people. The fourth document that I have in this pile was I was able to get my state legislator. His name is Dr. Dale Derby. Last year, he sponsored a bill, House Bill 2872, and it was written by another attorney. I have a friend; he's a constitutional attorney. It was a 12-page bill. It's from the Oklahoma State Legislature, and it was to stop Oklahoma water, gas, and electric meters. Dr. Derby came to my house. We went down in my outdoor storm shelter, and we brought my meters down there. I can read microwave radiation, and I can read magnetic fields. And there's nothing down under the ground. And then we came out, and that's when we read, like, 6, 10, 15,000 microwatts in my backyard. And after he saw all that, he was willing to sponsor the bill. He couldn't write it. I said, well, I'll write it. You sponsor it. He said, okay. So he calls me the first day of session, and he says, I don't have the political capital to push this through for you. And he was a new legislator, and so they must have really come against him to stop it. But a lot of other states, I mean, I was with a group of people, and on the internet, and most of the people were saying that ought to be model state legislation for all states, that 12-page bill, because it tells you what's happening to us, the utility meters. So I don't know how we're going to stop it unless we can come together in groups and and then come against the utilities. But we have to educate people to do that. And you're going to have some meters to show them. I mean, like I was saying, the guy that was installing 5G for Sprint here in Oklahoma there by Woodland Hills Mall, I showed him all that. I showed him the radiation, and after I got all finished, he said, I think I need to be looking for another job. So he understood. If he can understand that quick, and then Sprouts, it's a health food store, Sprouts, here in Oklahoma. And the young man was the produce. He was putting out produce, and he asked me about my suit, why I wear the suit. And I told him. And he understood very quickly about what was going on. He says, you're telling me nobody knows, but you do, because, you studied it. And I said, correct. And he was a little shocked with the whole thing. But it's just people don't know. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We got 10 minutes of the show that we got left.
Okay.
I just want to tell you that I got to go to town tomorrow. I'm going to make a little stop over the Blue Ridge Electric. Since the power goes in underground to the back of my house, where the pole is, I'm going to ask them to put my smart meter there.
Right.
And facing the street.
Correct.
And that's what I'll do.
That would be great. And you should feel better, Max. And I'd like to, if you get that done, I'd like to hear.
I'll let you know about that. I got your cell phone and everything. And I'll get back to you on the things that I'm going to be doing tomorrow inside the house with the Actorium box, and also on getting a hold of the Blue Ridge Electric to move my meter back there.
Okay. And I want to thank you and thank your guest for letting me be on to share with him, and maybe sometime again we could talk. But I want to thank you all very much for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. We got a few more minutes. You can talk a little more. John, you got any questions?
Yeah, I've just been looking for other devices here on Amazon. There's a spectrum analyzer that goes all the way up to 6G. And what it shows you is the signal strength at various frequencies. So I think I'm going to get that one and then go and find out, test it with Bluetooth headsets and the Wi-Fi here in the house. And of course, around cell towers and stuff. And see what kind of signal strengths I'm getting at different frequencies.
How much is that device, John?
This one is $365.
Okay. Can you put it here in the chat here so I can look at that?
Yeah. I'm going to see if this link is going to include. This is the what's called the ASIN number. Amazon indexes all their products by these ASIN numbers. So that number there, if you put it in Amazon search, it should come right up.
Can someone put it in the chat room, please? Okay, and we'll spare a chat room. Okay. My God, you gave out so much information, John. Do you have a lot more to give? More?
Oh, no, that's just what I managed to. While he was speaking, I was researching some of this stuff.
Okay.
And I work with spectrum analyzers where I work, so I understand what they do and what kind of information you can get from them.
Okay. How about you, Joe? You got any more to give out? You think you can come back next week and give a little more?
Yeah, if you want. I have another friend, if you want. Her name's Margie, and she's trying to get this information like you have, and she's got more information to President Trump's wife.
Oh, great. I tell you what, why don't you bring it in next week and we do it all over again.
Okay, well, let me see if it'll be Wednesday at 7. Let me talk to her and see if she could come.
Well, 7, she live in this central like you do?
Yeah, she lives near me.
Okay. Could you give her my email address, Special Forces 1953 at gmail.com? That way, if she has a computer, we can do with her a Zoom room, because I'm in the Zoom room here doing my show. It's very protected. It has encrypted on both ends.
Okay.
So we can't get. So if she has a computer and a cam, it'd be great to have her too.
Okay.
Why don't you all come back next week?
Okay.
And we'll do this all over again.
Right. All right. Well, I really appreciate getting the information out, and I really would like people to watch some of the YouTubes I have, and that will teach them and help them understand the seriousness of all this. It's not good. But I want to thank you again, and we'll see you next week, huh?
Okay, you can bet we will be there next week.
Okay.
All right. All right. Take
John.
care.
Okay.
Bye. That's great info, I'll tell you. And the more we put this out there, the more people are gonna start acting different. And I think, you know what, Nicole, I'm going tomorrow to the post office. I'm going to the Blue Ridge Electric.
Yeah.
And see if I can have that move. If I can get it moved, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's just end the show tonight, right now. And everybody have a good night. Come back next week. Don't miss the second part of the smart meters and how everything in the 5G network and everything that's trying to bomb us with all that kind of crap they're giving us. And stay tuned for next week. We'll be back in that time. And tell your friends and what's going on here on Max Steel Show next week and what's happened today. I'll have this recording and video here that I'm doing right now. I'll have it ready in about 15 minutes. I'm putting it in YouTube and BitChute. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Wait a minute.
Max.
Wait a minute. Don't say anything. Don't say anything yet.